right. Puppet build number 3. So at this point, for anyone who's joining, and if this mic isn't loud enough, I'm sorry. It's a new setup I'm trying, obviously. This is the guy so far. So he'll be talking like this. Hey guys, how's it going? So yeah. This is what it's gonna look like. So we gotta work on my ears, gotta attach some fur, and yeah, so that's what's happening. hmm So anyway, so that's what's going on. We're gonna make this guy's ears do a little bit more than just hang there. So we'll be sewing them up. We'll be doing things as necessary. So feel free to listen to another stream as I'm doing this. If you have any questions about what I'm doing, why I'm doing the way I'm doing it, then feel free to ask. No problem, any which way. And so I'm just making sure things are all lined up here to go. I think we're good. All right, so here we go. All right. Going to let's just start off with the ears, making them look a little more done. So hello to whoever has joined. It's just a chill puppet build. Nothing going on. Anything crazy. So if you want to know where puppets come from or how they're born, that's what's going on. Oh, and I was told I should say that at the beginning of the stream, if you haven't subscribed, you should do so. And that'll obviously help the algorithm if you also like it as well. Then you won't miss the content and helps me out, helps the channel, all that kind of fun stuff. So, all right, so that's just pinned in there. Oh, we got Salty Texas.
Well, hey there.
How's it going?
I just got done watching Gary and that gaggle of ne'er-do-wells on Friday Night Tights and got your reach out and just want to say thanks.
Yeah, no, I'm excited that you joined, and now I'm not all alone.
Oh my gosh, you have a decapitated puppet. That is awesome.
I do. The best part is when he's sitting on the stick here. It's like Lord of the Rings.
It's like Jack Murphy. Oh my god.
Oh man.
Sorry.
Too soon. Just joking.
Too soon. No. Yeah. Sorry about that. So yeah, no, this is fantastic. Sorry, dude. It wasn't me. It was the Maker's Mark talking. So happy Friday. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. We're here. We made it. We're at the weekend. So tell me about your week. Anything fun and crazy go on, or?
Well, my week started out driving 1,200 miles back to Texas. I was at my in-laws for the holidays, which was great, And what it is fascinating, though, and not to turn this into some type of socio-political, economic discussion, is to see how different supply chain issues are with things around different parts of the country. What's on the shelves, what's not. And then I was in Texas, and then I was up in the Northern Plains. I'll just say that. And completely different things were out of stock, and it's like, wow, someone could do a whole thesis on this and how the last 2 years have impacted very regional differences. But Who cares
Absolutely.
about that? Who cares about that? Tell me about this. Now, what's the correct nomenclature or term for what you're doing? Is there an official phrase for building a puppet? Ooh,
I,
that
I
thing
I
has
think it's just
fangs.
building a puppet.
Oh, right on. Okay.
Yeah, here I'll let you get in on that angle there so you can actually see what's going on. But
That's outstanding. That looks like my fourth grade teacher, actually. I'm not, if you put
probably
a
the
bat.
scariest teacher ever.
Oh, dude, I'm not even being facetious, but looks just like her. I didn't like her, man. God damn, man. It was hard being a kid in the 80s. Like
Yeah.
people don't realize, like, like people think they have it tough today, and it's like, oh, take a little trip to what it was like to be a kid in small town America in the 1980s. But
So when were you born then?
I let's just say in the early 70s. We'll
Early
just do
70s.
that.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
so
yeah,
you're no
yeah.
spring chicken. You know what you're
Thank,
talking about here.
thanks a lot, Dick. This has been a lot of fun. Good luck with your channel.
Fair enough.
Yeah, no, dude. Yeah, 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 yeah. No, when were you born? Spring
87.
chicken. Oh, right on, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in high school.
So there we go. So
Yeah.
are you willing to share kind of what you do for a living or like ish? You don't have to be specific.
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
looking for you to dox yourself, but
No, dude, it's all right. No, I'm watching you sew,
yep.
and I'm mystified what part of the anatomy of the puppet that is going to, I'm guessing it's an ear. There we go. Yep.
Yeah. The
Oh,
other one's
that's
just pinned on there.
great.
Yeah.
So no, I actually well, I do the YouTube channel, but I also, let's just say, I work in IT.
Okay.
And yeah, I used to teach for a long time, and then didn't like being poor, and really hated politics. Let's just say that, just really hated politics, and was not very good at keeping my mouth shut. So I needed to find another job.
So what you're saying is you were in the union and union life ain't for you.
I wasn't into the hierarchical, nonsensical complexity for complexity's sake,
Yeah.
for not enough money to put up with that bullshit business. Do you know? I don't know how else to say it.
No, I hear you. I have a lot of families and members in different unions and or have to deal with the unions, and so the more I
Yeah.
hear and see about unions, the less impressed I am with them.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
they
So,
especially public
so
sector unions.
oh God. Whoa. See, I have to be careful not to dox myself.
Well, you were a teacher,
Yeah.
so we're going there. We're going
No,
there.
that's not the worst. Let's just say in the public sector, that was the least of evils that I have dealt with. We'll just say that.
Okay,
But
fair
yeah,
enough.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So tell me about this. Like, dude, so I don't know how many people are watching, but you and I have never even spoken before. We just, like, I saw your puppet, your original puppet intro video on your channel, and I was
Yeah.
like, whoa, I was like, this dude is speaking my language, because I grew up as a kid in the
Yep.
70s, and back then we had 4 channels, but one of them didn't come in very well when I was a kid, because you had the big antenna outside of your house. There was no cable TV, but we did have, as a child of the 70s, PBS, and we got to
Yep.
watch Sesame Street. And I as a kid of the 70s, growing up watching what Jim Henson did, and then
Mhm.
what Jim Henson did later with the Muppet Show, and then, of course, the movies like The Dark Crystal, A Muppet Christmas Carol. It's
Mhm.
absolutely fascinating to me how people who have the talent can take an inanimate object and be able to bestow pathos and a personality upon it, so that it leaves a lifelong impression on someone.
Yeah, no, I honestly, that kind of caught me too as a kid, and so, very lately, like in the last, I want to say, 6, 7 months or so, I've really just kind of done a deep dive in some of the Muppet stuff, and like
Uh-huh.
the backgrounds and kind of more paying attention to Steve Whitmire. So he's the guy that he
Ah,
joined. Do you know who he is when I say that?
I have heard that name, but if I start talking about that, I'll dox
Okay.
myself. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fair. So he was fired from the Muppets, I want to say 2, 3 years ago, because he actually wanted to protect the legacy of the Muppets and who
Imagine
the
that.
Muppets were. And
Yeah.
Disney was like, no, they're a profit tool. And so obviously
I'm
you're
sorry.
yeah.
Oh my God. I just remember that woke, terrible TV show where the Muppets are talking about abortion. I'm still having a hard time with that. But go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no. So the one that you're talking about, not the Muppets now, but the other one that was on ABC.
Yes. I think
Yeah,
that's what it was on. Yep.
yeah, where like Miss Piggy had her Tonight Show or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, see that one that was actually Steve Whitmire's last project, and he was excited
Wow.
because he's like they were working with cameramen that had never worked with puppets before. Like they had only ever done
Ah,
stuff like The Office and those
yeah.
kinds of things.
You could tell.
And they were yeah, no, exactly. And he said
And
that
I wasn't being critical either. Just like you could tell the shot composition
yeah,
was very different than what we were used to from ever seeing from an aspect ratio with the Muppets.
which Steve Whitmire was saying that he actually loved that element because it was all new and it was different, and you're seeing the Muppets in our world, and you're seeing them come alive.
Mhm.
And he was talking about how, like, if they would have had one other season, the show actually would have taken off, and you would have seen it get its legs under itself and seen it come alive in a way that um, wasn't there. So he was actually really disappointed that it shut off. And then the last movie that he did was Muppets Most Wanted.
Uh-huh.
And
Mhm.
did you ever watch that one?
I watched part of it because of some friends' kids that I was hanging out at their house, and I lost attention. I lost attention in the adult conversation and was watching Muppets in the other room. So yeah.
Yeah. So he was saying that, and because I had only watched the one time in the theaters, and I was like, and then I think I tried watching another time, and I was like, this is dumb. But when he said that, um, it's actually the movie in the last 20 years that's actually the most actual true to the characters, I was like, okay, I'm gonna give this another shot and see what he says. And I watched it a second time. I'm like, no, this is actually good. Like
Mm.
it actually aged well, kind of like
Mhm.
Age of Ultron. It actually aged well.
I
Um,
I saw the very first Muppet movie in the theater as a kid, and, it was I'm well, 'cause I'm as you said, I'm near
yeah,
death, but it was fantastic. It was crazy because, you go to college, you're hanging out with all your boys, and we used to do movie nights, and we'd always do a double feature. So, we had a double feature one time of Conan the Barbarian
yep,
and then the Muppet movie. And of course, this was all on VHS. You went to the video store and rented it. But if you ever want to really have a fantastic double feature movie night, Conan the Barbarian and the Muppet movie is surreal. It's
that that
beautiful.
doesn't seem like it'd be a great combo, but I'm
Well,
sure it is. But
out of all the Muppet movies that you've seen,
yeah,
which one or properties, which one is your favorite? And it can be broadcast or film.
honestly, Treasure Island.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
And wow, why do you like what about it did you like?
Just the creativity, honestly, more
Ah,
than anything,
yeah.
and it's that familiar story, but in a, creative way. So, Christmas Carol, that used to be it until
Aha.
my family. I'll word it that way. They kind of killed it
Over
for me because
the
every Christmas, and everyone knows every line, and you're like, okay,
Yep.
this is too much. Whereas you watch the other one, and you're like, oh no, this is actually pretty good here. So it's a lot more fun. But I'm just gonna say some hi to some people here. So
Oh, cheers.
we got Fluffy, we got Brutal Morning Wood, we got Wookiee Supremacy,
Oh, Wookiee
and
supremacy, hail.
Parrot Head, and so we got the Salty Texas here with us. Is that your actual like as
Yeah, that's on
referenced
my
name?
yeah, it's on my birth certificate. It's
Yeah,
Salty Texas C. Yeah, yeah.
nice, man.
No, yeah, that's my channel name. I just got monetized a couple of weeks ago. And they talk about it's a grind, and you keep at it, and I
Mhm.
am still tremendously grateful to those people who have been supportive of me and my subscribers, and hail to everybody in the chat.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. So, actually, this is one of those conversations that I was hearing or watching, I should say, because it was in Twitter on a
Mhm.
group chat.
Mm.
Is guys were talking about how they're just depressed about their channels and the state of it. And so, would you say that because I've heard about it, but would you say that there's like a couple stages of just the dry grind where you're not seeing any progress, you're not seeing any,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So how would you describe that? Like, where does that kind of stem from? What is it that
Well, I'm still trying to fit in with the cool kids at the adult table, you know.
that's
It,
the story of my
it,
life
no, dude. I mean,
as I'm
it's so
sewing a
full.
puppet.
I mean, no, I mean the whole thing, and what I try and do with my channel is what you're hearing right now. This is how I am in real life, and
Mhm,
I think early on, with some of my other videos, that I was trying to be something I thought I should be,
mhm.
and I found it exhausting. But the other part of it that I took about a 5-month break off on my channel because I kept asking, what am I doing wrong? Like, why am I not just instantaneously hitting the big time? You know, why? And these are the
I'm
things. I
so
mean,
amazing.
I
Why
didn't
doesn't
know
anyone else
anything.
know?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, like, what do I need to do to prove to? And then it's like, and then I just stopped proving. It sounds trite. It sounds like a marketing pitch, but it's just what I needed to do was take a 4 or 5 month break, and I literally did not make any videos. And
Okay.
I had a lot of life changes during that time because I think like everybody else, regardless of where you are, not only in North America but in the world, the last year or two have kind of sucked. And for me,
That's an
I
understatement.
needed I heard someone who was the highest office in this country say something that I could never have imagined anyone ever say in
Let's go,
my
Brandon.
life. Yes, sir. And I heard someone say something that has, again, as someone who grew up in the 70s and then went to high school in the 80s, and Red Dawn is in my top 10 favorite movies of all time. Very not a stranger to what things that resemble tyranny look like. So, long story short, I gave up something I loved very much in a blue state in the middle of nowhere on the ocean to leave, and went to a place that understood, in my opinion, what America was about and what freedom is all about. And at the end of the day, I sacrificed those things, and every day that goes by, every week that goes by, and I look at what is in the mainstream media, I know I made the right choice, but that doesn't mean that I don't miss some really beautiful, deep Pacific Northwest woods and mountains, you know?
Oh, dude, yeah,
So
I hear you.
that's part of why I took time off, you know. But
Yep.
to answer your question, are there phases? Absolutely. You know, like I went through that phase of like, screw this. And then a little show came along that pissed me off more than I actually felt something. It wasn't just overall disgust, like, oh look, there's another piece of garbage on Disney Plus. Oh look, there's another piece of garbage on Netflix. I saw something on Amazon that was near and dear to my heart, which was Wheel of Time. And
Ah, and that's
I
why you've been
knew
reviewing it over the
well,
time?
yeah. Yeah, and I was like, "You know what? I'm bored. I'm like, I'm living in a new place. I'm just gonna make a video and, just to, basically, blow the carbon out, clean the carburetor." And I got ratioed big
Mhm.
time. And instead of taking it as, I was doing something wrong, I was like, "I'm onto something." Because this is like everybody from Rotten Tomatoes and the Women's Studies Center is coming to pile on me. And I'm like, I know how to do this because I lived through political correctness 30 years ago. So then I put on another video, and then I started to watch the positive interactions, and people are like, finally, someone's telling the truth. And I don't know. I mean, the long story short, I, you know, just kept putting out good videos, uh, being who I am, and I got lucky. So,
So it's being not afraid of the controversy.
oh God, and not trying to create it, but
No,
stepping, like, what is
willing
it?
to step into it
Oh
to
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm not in a Brene Brown kind of a way, not in a pop culture, like authentic, blah blah, whatever's, but more in like a Conan the Barbarian. I'm watching the destruction of everything I love in Western civilization from a
And I want to go on an adventure.
well, if I'm going to go out, I'm going to go out swinging. I'm not going to go out. You're not going to find me in the basement. I'm going to grab a stick and whatever,
Yep.
and I'm going to go at the zombie horde. I'm not going to wait for the zombie horde to come for me. And
Well, it's in the
it
name, right?
works.
Salty
Yeah.
Texas. You gotta
Roger that. Roger
go
that.
big or go home.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's exciting. That's exciting.
So
Brutal
it's
Morning
so.
Wood said this, and I'm sure you can identify with it. It's I was born in
Oh, hey,
'74. I
hail.
can remember being in third grade and the teacher shaking some of the kids by the hair. That's
That's totally true. Those things happened all the time, and not only that, but there was this really potent force that I think, in moderation, if it was applied now to, I'd say, the generation that came after me, but also kids today, and it's shame.
yeah,
Not that you want to destroy a child, but that there are some things that empirically, regardless of your of however we can disagree ideologically, are
yep,
just worth shaming someone over it. And
yep,
what you learn from shame and loss and failing is resilience. Resilience is something that you can't get in a book, you can't get in a medication. Resilience is something that you have to develop by getting your ass kicked and by being humiliated. And then you self actualize and say, no, 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 I am more than this. But the growth comes from you. It's not from just endless praise and participation trophies, externally.
no, I hear you there. No, and the other side is it just teaches you what not to do again.
Oh,
You
yeah.
you realize like,
Yes.
okay, so that was actually dumb.
It's like drinking a whole liter of Southern Comfort when you're 14 years old. You only need to do that once to understand that this is not a good idea. But
No, I had a,
I
I had a friend who told me about how he tried smoking one time and his we got some support from Wookie saying, "Yeah, damn right, Texas." He was telling me how he picked up a cigarette one time and
uh-huh, uh-huh,
ended up buying a pack after trying the one, and his
uh-huh.
dad caught him with it,
Oh yeah.
made him smoke the entire box.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's what they did. My dad did that to my little brother.
Oh man, that's
It's true.
like
I mean,
you just you learn
yeah.
not to do it again.
Well, I didn't know my brother could be like one shade off of Kermit the Frog. It was crazy to watch him, like how green he got. Speaking of puppets, so
Yeah.
oh my god. Well, here, all right. You got to ask me some fantastic questions, and you are a natural at this, and I think you're gonna do great with all of the people you have coming on
Thanks, man.
after me. But tell me about so with what you're making this puppet. Does it have
Yeah.
a name, or is this just something you do to sort of distract yourself? Or
So this guy in specific, so as I was telling you about Steve Whitmire,
Mhm.
um, he does a live stream once a month called Cave In with Weldon, the IT guy. So Weldon is the internet troll, and so basically you call in on the
Mhm.
Discord channel and you tell him
Mhm.
all about your bad day, and he'll because misery loves company, and Weldon's the company. That's the slogan. And so I just thought one day it would be funny to troll the troll. And so for me to call on this live stream and have this troll puppet ready to go and just start messing with them and just kind of create this whole backstory. So I'm trying to figure out the name. So Weldon is obviously Steve's character. I want to I'm thinking like I kind of go back to like Wally or Welton
Hmm.
and just trying to mess
What
with them. So
what about Brie Larson? I mean,
I could see
Kevin
it.
Kevin Feige. Oh, Kathleen Kennedy. Yeah, no,
That's
no,
that's more ogre. Like
yeah,
that's
yeah. So
trolls, ogres.
what color and gender? What are this puppet's pronouns? I mean, I think that's what
Ah,
everyone wants to know.
it's definitely a he.
Cool,
I don't jump down the pronoun game too
good,
much.
good.
other than to laugh at it. Which one of my friends, he ended up getting in a bit of a Twitter storm. He quoted somebody
Really?
and said, pronouns in bio, and the mob came after him, and he was just laughing about it the entire time. And so that was fairly entertaining. But I mean, like, I had a student one time that I was working with, and he was he dealt with all that kind of stuff, and we were talking, and I like, for those listening, my idea is I don't want to lie to people, so I'm not gonna
Mhm. Mhm.
empower um, a lie. So, like,
Mhm.
I'll work with you. If I know
Mhm.
your birth name, that's what I'm going to call you. And
Mhm.
if you feel like that dishonors you, well, that's, I guess, you. But at the same
Yeah.
time, I need to be true to myself as well. And so, if
Yeah.
we're going to live by the whole, like, you need to do what makes you happy,
Mhm.
then the street goes both ways. Um,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
so I just
Yeah.
don't go
One
down that road.
No, 100%. And it's like you said, since I'm such a old man, this is nothing. We didn't, no one was doing this stuff in the 90s. No one was doing this
No,
stuff in the 2000s. And
no, no.
I used to make jokes, and it was about, oh Lord, about 5 years ago when this phenomena started to emerge. And no disrespect to anyone in the chat, obviously, but
Mhm.
I kept saying, I can't wait for somebody who tells me I have to call them a wizard, and when they throw an imaginary fireball at me, that I have to pretend to be dead.
Yeah,
Because that's how I
that'd
feel
be
with
epic.
all of this. I mean, you can lump me in the same istic category as J.K. Rowling. And here's the thing, I went to college with a lot of very, very, very um what would you call it, ardent feminists. And
Mhm.
there was a split even back then in the early 90s, where you kind of had the second wave and third wave, where
Yeah.
the third wave were not interested in equality or a dialogue. They were interested in taking away what men had and then essentially turning us into Soylent Green. It's just, I didn't expect it to actually go global like this. But
Didn't expect it to work. I
so
didn't
this
expect women to
character,
have a voice. Like, oh,
that's not, oh, that's not it. All right, puppet boy, have fun on your own. I'm
it
out of
was too
here.
easy. It was
Yeah,
too easy.
no, yeah, yeah, yeah. So, do you start out when you make a puppet like this? Oh my God, that it looks like Sven Gulli. You know that guy from he has the horror shows like on like cable TV.
No, I have no
But
idea. I don't watch cable.
okay, it either
Honestly,
looks like
so
that.
I'm a kind of a heretic. I have Disney Plus, but that's the only thing I have,
I'm
and
not
that's because
judging. I get it. You
that's because
also
we got
have.
kids.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. Yeah. It's either that or, BlackBerry
Netflix.
brandy. Well, BlackBerry brandy, they used to give that to us all throughout the 70s, and obviously we turned out just fine. Um did you start out with a drawing of this, or were you
Play-Doh, actually.
inspired by
I
some?
stole
Oh,
my kids' Play-Doh,
okay.
and I used that as modeling clay, which Play-Doh is not modeling clay. I don't know if
No.
you know that.
No, no, no.
And
It dries out really quickly.
but it's also a lot more malleable. And
Mhm.
so I'm sitting there with painter's tape and trying to do just one piece at a time. And my wife gave me a projector for Christmas. So the thought was I was going to make the stencils basically, and then just kind of project them up, and
Ah, yeah.
and then make them on the piece of paper the size that I need.
Mhm.
However, I didn't want to deal with a projector with a baby going around, so I ended up just hand drawing the stencils.
Okay.
But I knew a
Okay.
couple tricks just from listening to other guys that make puppets,
Oh, right
and
on.
they were saying that all the corners need to be like 90 degrees when you're doing the darts and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, it all just started off as a flat piece of upholstery foam, and so you end up having to make sure the thing's flat and glue all the edges together, and bada bing, bada boom, and you end up getting ahead. And so this one normally what I would do, like with Floral, the main guy,
Mhm.
I would have all the set patterns and just kind of actually make like a fabric pattern ahead of time and then cut it out
Oh,
and then just
okay.
sew it all together and then slap it over top. Whereas this guy, like
Oh,
I've systematically glued so that I can get some of these features all kind of standing out. And yeah, so that's kind of where that.
I was going to ask how the mechanics of that work, because I've done a lot of, I've built a lot of things like barns and chicken coops and stuff like
Yeah,
that for homesteads. But this type of work and things involving cloth, like I haven't used a sewing machine since they made us sew like our own gym bags in the
yeah.
8th grade. I mean, and I don't even know. Did they even make kids do that in school now? Like we were
They made
forced to
me.
take home ec. Yeah. Well, then
But
that's
I think
good.
that they've actually cut out a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well,
So anyway,
the world doesn't need people with practical skills like sewing. They just need activists, right? That's going really
oh,
well.
exactly. You need to be able to find the right theories involved. But anyway, so the patterns, if you can kind of see on here. So
That
um,
wow.
so I did this in 2 separate stages. So this is
Okay.
just fairly easy. Cement, and I just wrapped it together, glued them together, and then separately I glued this together in the middle. This is the dart so that it could come up properly.
Uh,
This was just a straight seam, and then I just slapped on for the belly, just a little bit more foam there.
oh wow.
And
Okay. Yeah.
so basically, I wanted to give him some definition because when he's actually sitting,
Mhm.
I guess I should stick my arm through. It's gonna kind of
Oh
be
my God,
kind of like
dude,
that, right?
that's amazing. That is
So
amazing.
he'll be like,
And the
"Hey guys, and so yeah, my name's Wally." Or Welton, hey, how's it going? Yeah, so anyway, that's got my belly. My daughters always like to point out the fact that like they don't have a body yet and all that,
yeah.
and they think that's like the funniest part. Is when they're like, "You have no legs," and so for Christmas, I actually made my daughter's puppets, and the one wanted a unicorn, but the other wanted a dragon. And
Oh
so I basically
wow.
took like a Kermit the Frog pattern
Mhm.
and just
Mhm.
resized the whole thing in a bunch of different ways. But I
Okay.
made sure to give hers legs because I didn't want her to make fun of it. Be like, it has no legs. so so that one got legs, but this guy, he's gonna have legs. They're gonna kind of sit right here, coming off. The arms are gonna obviously come off here. It's gonna be a rod puppet because I've done gloved arm puppets before
Uh-huh.
and
Uh-huh.
driven around with them and like literally driven around with them, and that's fun. But when you're actually trying to do stuff, it's a little more difficult. So, and usually having a second pair of hands is really helpful as well.
Would you say it's a rod puppet? Does that mean your arm is still up controlling the mouth and then the rods are controlling its arms and legs and things like that?
Yeah.
Or how does
So
that work? Okay.
when you have basically it goes inside the hand like this, and you have the armature wire, which is just in a box right now. But you just have basically you're just creating the skeleton, and then when
Mhm.
you move the rod, it moves your hand. So it's basically if you watch pretty much any video with floral, you'll see what I'm talking about because
Yeah.
you'll see that silver rod. Normally, most guys will spray paint it black, but I'm just like whatever. So if I really care about spray painting it black, I can do it later. Just tape off things and do it that
Yeah.
way. But yeah, so that's that's how that all works right there. But
How
the
how how many puppets would you say that or let me ask you, when did you find did you do this through high school, through college? Did you do an internship? I'm not trying to dox you. I just like
yeah,
how
no,
did you evolve your craft?
in my in my last job, working with the students,
Mhm.
I end up trying to just make just for kind of like a bit of a gag and
Mhm.
just do some video stuff with them. Ended up making 2 or 3 of them, and then just during the last 2 years, I actually started working on a comic, and
Oh, right
then
on.
I was like, you know what, this sucks. Like, it's in order for me to get good at this, like this is going to take years and years and years to get anywhere near where I want this to be what I want it to be, and I don't have that kind of time. I want to be able to make people happy sooner than later.
Mhm.
So and just laugh and giggle and whatever else and also be impressed. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just jump on this now, and I'm gonna make a puppet. And so I made one for YouTube, and that was Floral. Well, there's 2 versions of Floral. So if you actually go
Okay.
back in the channel, you'll see a purple guy, and because I originally wanted him to be green, but I couldn't find any green fur. And then I was like, why don't I just look on Amazon? And so I went on Amazon, found some green fur, and remade them. But way better. So the first version sucked. Like getting your hand inside them and all that kind of stuff, working the jaw, it's a nightmare. And so once I got Floral going, my mother-in-law, she's always wanted a Kermit puppet, so I made her a Kermit the Frog, and then I was like, and then my daughters, they were just like, this is amazing. So then I ended up making Coco, the white guy. Yeah. And my daughter spoke to him for like literally just in their living room. I just put him on and she just started talking to him for like 20, 30 minutes. And, and she was talking to the puppet. And so I started recording it, and it impressed my family. So I sent them the recording. And obviously I'm not putting my daughter on YouTube.
No.
Not with the kind of stuff that I'm talking about anyway.
No.
So that just kind of became where I was like, okay, so I got Floral, I got Coco. Now I want that like goofy kind of character. So I made Nelson, and then I just wanted to be able to troll. So I even said on the last live stream that like if I'm happy to do this, like as just a side thing. So if people buy the stuff, I'm more than happy to just live stream putting it together, and they can see the product they're getting, and just makes it fun. And it gives me something creative to do. It gives me a creative outlet. But then I can do all the other stuff on the side with the guys that I make for myself. And so
I'm going to take you up on that, but I'm going to pay you for it, because what you have is a skill. No, I'm not being facetious. I have a lot of respect for what you do. I mean, I do my own creative things, but I also know what it takes to make something that can convey the kind of pathos or humanity or realness that can have a young child respond to it. Because if it's one thing young children are really good at doing is if something is fake, they know. Oh yeah, they know it. And so after the stream, dude, I'll hit you back on Twitter, but I gotta, just watching you, I got a couple ideas, and I would very much like to support your addiction and your skill at the same time. So.
It kind of becomes an addiction, and that's the funny thing. It truly actually does. Because it's just like, okay, like I need to get creative. So yeah, no, if you want to follow up on it, that's again like
100%. And I'll be honest with you, I'll pay you money to make a puppet that is Culture Casino. I think a lot of people
I got the brand. I could pull it off.
A lot of people would have a lot of fun with that. And he's probably going to kill me for saying that, but actually I think it would be fantastic.
If you see the interview with Tom, you'll see a puppet. So originally he was supposed to be like a conspiracy theorist. I forgot about him. And then I was just like looking at him once I had him in my hands, and I was like, this kind of starting to look like Tom. And so people started calling him Puppet Tom. I'm kind of like, I like Puppet Tom. So
that's cool, man. That is really cool.
So I'm thinking. So I'm going to basically do the same thing that I did with the head here. And the reason why I'm not sewing everything on yet on the body is because what's going to end up happening is that fur, I'm just going to utilize it to sew on
cover your seam. Yeah.
And so the glue is literally just going to kind of give that belly that definition that you're kind of starting to see. Yeah. And then what's going to end up happening is the fur's going the wrong way, but he's going to have the fur kind of come up and wrap around the body there. And then just because this is the way my mind works, he's definitely gonna have like a little tuft of fur right in the chest. And so I'm also thinking, because I have a little bit of white fur for the ears, I'm gonna take a little bit of white poking out and give it just that nice little look there. So that's kind of what I'm thinking for this guy. Like, it's again, like, and my thing is all of this is it's just fun. It's experimentation.
Yes.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be perfect, especially with something like this. It's a troll, right? So you don't want it to necessarily be perfect. Like on a group I'm in, someone's like, the nose isn't even. I'm like, it's a troll. Like,
Yeah.
No, no, it's not. And I was even beating myself up when I was attaching some of the features on the head there, because as you'll see, one eye is a little bit higher than the other. I mean, I could technically fix it just with a heat gun and bring it down, because again, the fabric is just attached by hot glue, so I could just kind of force it down, give them a little bit more of an eye wrinkle there. But at the
Mhm.
same time, like, I got the eye placement on it good, so I'm pretty satisfied. So
Honestly, when you were showing me the puppet and moving it around, I thought it was a deliberate creative decision because he looks like a tweaker and it's fantastic.
yeah.
Literally. Like there's no, I mean, we're our own worst critics, right?
Oh,
And
for sure.
bringing someone else in, I mean, not like I'm an authoritative source. I'm just some idiot who has a YouTube channel, but like that character, like the fact his eye is just a little different, it actually he looks more deranged in a believable way. Seriously.
Well, that's good to hear. So, oh yeah, and then the other side is too, I'm gonna be giving him some eyebrows. So I'll be trimming up the fur and making it look a little bit more reasonable.
That
It's not
that's
just gonna
what
be
that's what Brie Larson says too. So yeah. Sorry,
savage.
sorry.
Savage.
I know.
All right,
That's
let's see what's going on in the chat here. So these guys are beaking off about things I'm seeing. So should probably honor them. That's the process that fascinates me. Oh, people are saying, Brad saying, "Hey, salty, good
Yeah,
vibes."
hail.
Here we go. That's the process that fascinates me. I tend to wake up at an ungodly hour with an idea in my head and start jotting stuff down and whatnot. Fair enough. I've been there too.
Mhm.
And then these guys are talking to each other. And then we got, oh man, that would be great. Culture Puppuccino.
Oh my
So
god.
if I could make a marionette, I would totally do that.
Oh,
That would
dude,
be,
a
but
ruffled shirt like a 70s tuxedo shirt, like you would have seen in the Hammer horror movies for vampires. That would be so amazing to have a Culture Casino puppet with that ruffled shirt with an ascot. Oh,
I could see that. I could see that.
yeah. But
And honestly, like, that's the funny thing. Like, people are actually fairly easy to make. It's
oh,
the other stuff that you're like, this is scary." So,
like you
because
mean
you can just use like a
animals
basic,
or
specifically animals. Those are hard because
Mhm.
animals, everyone has like a visual of what it's supposed to
Oh,
look like, right? Like
right.
Jim Henson got away with doing Fozzie Bear and Ralph the dog because no one had really seen that yet, at least not to that level. But then when you look at all the other bears and dogs that show up, they're either in the vein of those two, or they
Mhm.
actually look like a bear or actually look like a dog.
Mhm.
And so when it comes to animals, like, there's a high bar. But when it comes to like fictitious creatures or people, like, those are a lot easier to actually work with, specifically again people, because you can just do a nose.
Mhm.
You're just throwing out eyes and that kind of stuff. So
Did you have a favorite character on Sesame Street? I mean, we're obviously from different eras of
mhm.
what Sesame Street was, but if you've watched the classic Sesame Street and, was there something either from the 70s, 80s, or 90s that really spoke to you or that you responded to as a kid?
uh Big Bird always fascinated me.
Oh,
um
yeah.
but I don't know, like Elmo, I liked just copying because I thought it was funny. But Grover, or not Grover, Oscar the Grouch. He
Oh,
was,
yeah.
so when you think floral, right? Like, there's clearly some inspiration there.
I can
Um,
see that now. I can see that now.
but I mean, floral. Then it's the fun thing about floral is just my pessimist coming out. So he says the stuff that I can't get away with just saying.
Well,
Um,
like I said to you, like on Twitter, like I watched your video because I don't even know how you popped up. Like algorithms are weird things.
yeah.
Um, I think somebody shouted you out that's like a friend of yours, and I saw
Oh,
it,
okay.
and I went there and was blown away, and immediately shared it with like four other people. And
I
I
appreciate that.
watched your video. No, I mean, but that's how this works, right? I mean,
Yeah.
and it's like I mean, like I'm as Nerdrotic says, I'm an up and coming YouTuber just like everybody else, man. And I don't know how the hell to do this. And all I know is it's like whatever you put out into the universe, if you're keeping it real, as the kids say, and just be a nice person and help each other out, man, where it would be a much better place. But where I'm going with all that is everyone who I've showed Floral to in that video is like, oh my God, that's amazing. And it's true. It's
Well, that's cool.
great. Yeah.
I appreciate that. Because no, and I was telling some people last night a little bit about what I'm doing because I'm keeping a little bit close to the vest just because again, it's the world we live in. In the private world, the YouTube channel. But I was telling him just how like people are responding to it and just like that. The nice thing is like it's allowing me to have an opportunity to have conversations with people that I normally would never get to have a conversation with. But getting to hear people's stories and throwing that out there, it's encouraging for people too, right? Because, like, I mean, when we can finally sit down with Floral, like the fact that you can share your story and like some of your heart and your passions, like what causes you to click and tick. Because sometimes, like when it comes to the YouTube, like you see these guys and they're either mythologized or whatever, and you're like, okay, so who is this person? And you want to know their background, but you never have the opportunity to hear it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I want to get that opportunity to hear people's stories and know what what caused them to tick. So like with my conversation with Tom, like I had no idea that he was a disc jockey, and I'm sure he shared it in a stream at one point. But I mean, like when I talk to Script Doctor, it's going to be cool talking to him and finding out like what it is that what are your creds? Like where'd you? Oh, my mic's falling off the table here. Great. This is all new stuff, by the way.
Oh no, believe me, I have done that many times, especially on live streams, and I'll vamp for you until you're ready. But I have kicked my mic out of my laptop. I have ripped my laptop out of the floor because my power cord. I mean, like anything else, like a good carpenter, it's not that you don't make mistakes, it's that you're really good at covering up your mistakes, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, I hear you there. But yeah, so that's the cool thing about the hot glue is it just brings out the
it's
feature.
Amazing. It's amazing.
Right?
So, like to see it, what's really, I mean, and again, I'm a total noob to this. So it's like me watching someone, perform a brain surgery, as far as I'm concerned. And it's like, oh, it goes there, so this is fantastic.
No, that's cool. So you said you built barns and all that kind of stuff. So was that just more on the side, or was that your in between job, or what was the
no, it's what I did. I have been a slave to corporate America for a very long time. And part of that, for many years, I had to travel a great deal, which is not glamorous. And after a certain amount of time, I didn't have to travel anymore and could just do it from wherever. And that happened before all of this insanity of the last 2 years. But I decided I wanted to get as far away from a big city as possible and to become as self-sufficient as I could and have chickens and goats and turkeys and other things like that. And, again,
so without joking, like a prepper or not that extreme, you just want to be self-sufficient.
Boy, how do I answer that question without you booting me off the channel?
I won't boot you off the channel.
No, I'm kidding. No, really what it is I kept talking a good game for a long time. One day I'm going to do this. One day I'm going to do that. And then one day you wake up and you're 40 or you're 42 or whatever it is. And you're like, you know what? It's about time to do that thing you said you're going to do someday. And so, buying a couple acres of land, I didn't know how to build a barn. My grandfather was a carpenter, but these are the things that excited me. Dealing with the insanity and monotony of corporate America didn't. So, it's just the older I get, and it's not like I'm dead, but I'm going to be more than 50 in another month or two. And I just,
you don't sound 50.
Well, thank you. It's all the bourbon. It's all the bourbon and all the rare steak I've been eating for 45 years. So take it from me. I'm not a doctor, but I cannot recommend it enough. Eat a lot of meat and drink a lot of whiskey. But no, I mean, it just, am I a prepper? No, here's the thing. Like,
I just so you know, I do know like quite a few preppers.
Oh yeah.
And so it's not like I'm not like offended by I'm not one, but I'm not offended.
I know people who are.
Yeah.
but I would not consider myself one, but I'm judging it on a different scale. I'll just say that. So, where I'm going with that is I grew up, my grandparents had a farm. I grew up riding horses bareback as a kid.
Nice.
Help pull calves out being born. And
Hmm.
when you grow up like that in small town America, you just always imagine how great it's going to be in the city and how bright lights big city and all the
Yep.
hustle and bustle and be a professional. And then, you get there and you
I'm gonna
put in a
be
decade.
somebody. I'm gonna go
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah, you put in a decade of that and you start sacrificing things. And to
Yeah.
me, it was like, oh wow, this is like a Disney movie where the small town kid goes back home and figures out that everything he was ever looking for was right there. And
Yeah.
it wasn't in the same geography of the country, but it was the same thing of like my better half and I, we joke, she especially, that we don't want to live in a town that has more than 1,000 people anymore.
Yeah.
And I lived in Boston, and I'll just say the nation's capital, and did work there and other big cities. And the smaller the town, the better. I just say that. So
Yep.
yeah.
No, like right now, um, like I work in a town that's fairly small. Like it's developing because it's near a urban center, but
Mhm.
I mean, there's the pros and the cons, right? Because you want the access to the stuff, but with the way that shipping goes now, um, I mean, it's
Mhm.
not hard to get the stuff when you're in a small town, right? Like I
Yeah.
ordered this stuff last night and it was
Oh
here today,
wow,
right?
dude,
So
amazing.
yeah, and I'm in a small town, so it's I
Yeah.
mean, obviously, like I'm near a major hub, but I'm not.
Yeah.
But you're not
But
like totally disadvantaged.
yeah, and you also have children, and it's like I would,
Mhm.
if I had young kids, I would not be in a city at all. So I want to shout somebody out in the chat.
Do it.
And this is also my recommendation. Hail to Zax. Zax is my mod in a wrench. He also has his own channel. He's a great guy. Zax and I are going to be on OBG70's channel tomorrow night talking about all things 80s movies. And I actually tried to get our puppet man here to join, but he didn't think he would have a lot to add to the conversation. Don't mean to embarrass you or put you on the
No,
spot, but
I can be
just
honest.
wanted to. Here's the thing: all of these people, like I didn't know Zach, Kyle, I didn't know Mike, who I've been doing live streams with for 3 weeks. We just literally stumbled across each other, started talking on social media, and then started doing this. I mean, that's the whole
Mhm.
secret: is just start doing it. You know.
Yep.
So, and then I found you, and
Yeah. No.
you know,
And see, my thing is like, and I just love this kind of stuff, right? Where you're just getting to know people, shoot the breeze, but
yeah,
hopefully make an impact in some way, shape, or form in someone's life.
yeah.
But and if you're watching, just feel free to ask any questions. I mean, Zach, I saw that you commented on one video at least. I think it was you that I
He
did.
did. He's a good guy.
All right. Yeah. So I mean, I don't even know how much of that wrench stuff works. Um, like getting them on as moderators and all that kind of stuff. So
Well,
it's
Zax does it for a lot of different channels, a lot of different channels that chances are people in this chat have watched, and he volunteered to do it for me, and I am eternally grateful because I now have Russian bots, literal, not the Disney Star Wars ones, actual bots,
yeah.
in my live streams. So it's once you kind of get a lot of people coming in, it attracts the attention of nefarious forces, and it helps to have a good mod there for you.
Yeah. So I see Astro's here. We got Decepticon, Cave of Toys and Villains. And they're all saying hey. And let's see. I see a lot of familiar names in the chat. I started chasing the baby around while I'm listening. No, man, my baby has had croup, and
Oh
it
no.
sucks. It sucks. I am
Oh
not happy
god.
right now. He's finally sleeping, um, but specifically, I feel sorry for my wife, who
Oh
has to deal
lord.
with most of that nonsense. But because I deal with the kids in the day, and then she sleeps during
Mhm.
the day, so it all works out. But
Wow.
yeah, no, I hate croup with a passion. All right, so here's what I'm thinking. So I'm probably going to do the neck before I actually attach the hair, and so there'll be some sewing now. Which the nice thing is, because of the way the whole thing sits, I can actually sew to the inside, and I can kind of just do like a basic whip stitch, which will bring it to
Mhm.
life just that much more. 6 months pregnant, wife is 3 to go. Nice. That's exciting. Do you know what you're having, Decepticon? He's in Garland, Texas. So
Oh,
no idea where.
hail! Hail to you, sir, from Hill Country, Texas.
So no idea where any of that is because I'm up in Ontario. So it's fun that way.
I used
Boy,
to I
nice.
used I used to work outside of Toronto a
Really?
long time. Yeah, I was in Mississauga for I'll just say that and not
Yep.
mention what large corporations are there. But yeah, I did about a
There's a
year. I'd
few.
split my time between the states and being in Ontario, and I have always loved Canada a lot, and until recently, and it has nothing to do with the people. I have so many friends that were Canadians, and you guys have such a rich culture. And my God, British Columbia is
See, that was my
freaking
original stomping
incredible.
grounds.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
I used to get up there from the Pacific Northwest as often as I could, but it is amazing. I saw so many wolves in northern BC. In just
where in northern
it,
BC did you get up to?
oh God, dude.
Like you
Oh
actually went
boy.
up north, or
Oh yeah.
just
Oh yeah, yeah. Like I drove up the Alcan.
okay?
So yeah, you got to go do those things with your life once in a while. And
It's true. The furthest
you know,
north I actually ever went was Prince George.
oh yeah, I've been there. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It was remarkable though, just to see some of the like has a yank, right? The farther you go and the more remote you go in some of these places, to see something that looks like an English hotel in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
It was crazy. And the people were so nice. And it was
Oh
like,
yeah.
oh, this is fantastic.
No, northern BC, like everyone's. I mean, it's the same thing as most small town areas, but
Mhm,
everyone's
mhm.
pretty nice and friendly up there,
Oh,
willing to
yeah.
just bring you in and let you try some of their fresh game.
Yeah.
It's it's fun up there.
Oh, yeah. Except for the mosquitoes, which oh
Yeah.
my god, in the summertime, that was crazy.
How are mosquitoes in Texas?
This will be my first summer here in a
Oh,
couple
okay.
of decades. In the Pacific Northwest, they really weren't that bad, but I was, you had those coastal breezes coming in so that it wasn't an issue. So there generally wasn't a lot unless you get deep into the rainforests
Yeah.
that are out there.
Yeah.
They can get a little buggy, but we'll find out here. It's probably not going to be great because I am near uh, like I said, hill country. There's a lot of lakes, and of course the Colorado River flows through here as well. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. All right. So I have no idea how I'm going to do this. By the way, this is
Well, I was
I've
just gonna. Do you like how do the arms go on after the fact because they're going to be
oh
stick
yeah.
control? I mean, because like I'm a total noob to this,
Yeah,
so
so the way the arms are going to go on is I'm actually going to use a ball joint or a doll joint. I should not a ball joint. Doll joint.
okay,
It's
okay,
looks got a bag of like a billion of them for $20 off of Amazon because they're on sale. But anyway, so basically this part goes through the
oh,
torso, sticks
okay,
out. You sew this into the like the shoulder basically.
hmm,
It just pops right on.
okay.
Easy peasy lemon squeezy.
I had no idea.
Yeah, so that's the easiest way to do it for me. Some guys they tie them on because then if you tie it and you want to switch to like a gloved arm puppet, you can
Hmm.
do that
Uh-huh.
because different guys, different methods, but
Mhm.
or different needs. Um, but yeah,
Do you find or have you attempted to do like a two puppet thing? Is that something that can be done, or is it really essentially a one person per a puppet sort of
if
a
you wanted to bring it
mechanics?
really bring it to life and use the arms, it's one guy per puppet, sometimes two
Okay.
people per puppet.
Uh-huh.
Um, whereas like so the last Coco video I did, where Nelson comes in,
Hmm.
like that was just me, just
Okay.
actually right behind where I'm sitting here, um, trying to film that and see how that goes. Okay, I should probably just take off this fur head because then I can actually see what I'm doing. All right. So But now it's about where do I want it to sit. So I got to lift my arm up so no one's going to be able to see what I'm doing here.
That looks great. Yeah. Sorry, dude. I got to mess with you. Come on.
Do you like the air conditioners in the background there? And
no, I can't even hear it. You have the quietest air conditioner I have ever heard.
Well, the air conditioners are going. There's the furnace behind me.
Oh, cheers. No, I can't hear it at all.
Oh, that's good. I got it.
Yeah.
So this is a good mic then.
Yeah.
It's just the Razer something. I don't know. It was $50 on Amazon, so I was like,
oh, right on.
I'll just do that.
Powered by maple syrup and beavers. Excellent.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
So you like your fresh maple syrup then?
Oh, dude, yeah. I grew up in the Northern Plains, not too far from the Canadian border, without doxing myself. So Lake Superior was not that far from where I ran about as a wee lad, as they say originally. So yeah, I grew up tapping maple syrup, going to the sugar shack, doing all that stuff. So it's in my veins, except I do like hockey. I do, but I like college hockey so much better than the
NHL. Yeah, but college sports in general tend to be
100%, man. Like I used to always go to college hockey games, and man, the rivalries are incredible. But the other part was
rivalries, but those guys actually try. That's my thing.
That's what I mean. No, they're working hard and they care, but also all the families with all the young kids, and it's so great to see these little girls screaming profanity at like the opposing team. I love that stuff. It's like that's what it's all about. Get your kids into, and you can hear my accent sometimes slip, but that we'll just say Northern Plains accent slip. But just all those things are so fantastic. Like college football is so much better. Dude, women's college softball. I may sound like a lunatic, but I love watching those women compete. They're incredible.
No, they are for sure. No, like we oftentimes women's sports can get a bad rap, but like women's hockey in the Olympics.
Oh my God,
that's some of the best hockey you'll watch.
Oh my God, no! I watched a lot of those games, and it would drive me crazy because no one would show up to those games. Well, that's not true. Maybe half of what would show up for men's college hockey, but these women. They're savages. They're laying people out, dude. That like they're hitting them into the glass and like high sticking, and it's like, holy cow,
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, so how am I going to do this? This is the part that I was the most afraid of, and I'm at it. And so, if anyone knows what to do, I mean, I know what I could do, and it's just not what I want it to be easy, and I want it to be magic, and I want it to just happen. And basically what would have to happen is, and I don't know what happened to my tape, but figure out the actual distance from here to here, and then figure out the distance of here to here, and then basically measure that out on here, figure out that neck that I actually want to have, which is only supposed to be about yay big. So
did you lose your measuring tape?
Yeah, I have no idea where it went. I was using it to measure my waistline, and then I have no idea where I put it.
So this is going to sound like a dumb yank question, but when you think distances and are doing this type of wardrobing, do you think
Canadian? I think inches. I think in inches.
Okay, that's what I was wondering because I've met.
No, you measure things in Canada. You measure things in inches, right? So you don't.
Yeah. Well, I just know all the kilometers when I was driving in.
No, that's the thing. So when you're doing big distances, you're measuring in kilometers. When you're doing like just basic measurements, like if you go up to a meter, that's when you'll use a meter. Anything below that is 3 feet, right? So that's how it works.
This is fascinating.
Because Canada is a weird hybrid, right? Like we're not unique.
I know.
Or I guess we are unique in that we steal from everybody and master nothing. So
have you found that to be true in Quebec too? Or are they more European using meters and centimeters, or do they use inches too?
To be honest with you, I've never actually been to Quebec.
Well, I've only been to Quebec once, so it's
when I moved out here, I drove through the States, and that was probably the most diverse in terms of like traveling in North America that I'd done, other than going to Mexico for the honeymoon, which does that really count? Um,
Sure. Yeah.
okay. Well, I mean, I swam with the dolphins, so that was cool.
Dude, that's cool. That is cool.
It was actually cool. The have you ever touched a dolphin?
Metaphorically or literally?
Literally.
No, I haven't. I've seen them. I have been brushed by a whale before, but that doesn't count. So
Like a real whale? Or
yes,
like
no,
more.
no, not a metaphorical whale, but like a real whale when I was swimming in the Pacific Northwest. So that
Okay.
was trippy, scared the hell out of me.
So a
And
gray whale then?
like yeah, it was no, it wasn't a gray. I didn't know what it was. I think it was, what are they, oh god. It's one of the smaller ones it's bigger than a harbor porpoise, and god, I'll have to look it up, but it was like only like 8-10 feet, like it
Okay.
wasn't a big one, but it had the big whale tail thing. So
Okay.
uh, but it was trippy. It was really trippy because I had like fallen out of my kayak, and I was like, this is not a sea monster, and it was cool though.
Yeah. No, they're amazing creatures.
Tell me your dolphin story. I'm talking about my idiot Pacific Northwest stuff. So you
Yeah,
were in
no,
Mexico on
I
your
mean, it's pretty tame. We signed up at the resort that we were at to swim with the dolphins. Basically, you go to this gigantic swimming pool that has multiple pools with multiple dolphins in each pool, and you jump in the water with your life jacket, and they call you out, and you swim out to the dolphin, grab onto its dorsal fin, and they take you for a ride, and you got to
Oh
hang on for dear
wow.
life. And what doesn't help is that life jacket, because you're fighting the life jacket. It would be
Well,
fine
yeah.
if you were just hanging on, but yeah, it was definitely definitely like memorable by every stretch. But all right, so I'm gonna see what happens if I tack this in.
Well, though, all of those interactions with wildlife like that are moving, in my opinion. It doesn't
Mhm.
matter. It doesn't matter if you come across a bear driving through a national park or a bear out on the trail. And I spend a lot of time, as much as I can, in national parks, and you just never know what you're going to come around
So
a
you'll like my
corner.
bear story then.
Oh, dude, yeah, do it, do
So
it.
so actually I have two. The college I was at was on top of a mountain, so you get the perk of the wildlife up there.
Yeah.
And the one day the bear had just finished eating out of the trash can, and so it's just sitting there, just like totally content, black bear, nothing
I
major.
was going to ask. Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, I could pet this thing. And
You could.
I was
You
very
could.
convinced that I could pet this thing, but my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, was getting very mad at me because I kept getting closer and closer to this thing, and without a word of a lie, I was only about, like, 6 feet from it, and it was just, like, looking at me, like, totally docile, and it was not threatened whatsoever. It was just chill. It was full. It was happy.
Uh-huh.
I could guarantee you I could have pet that thing, and I would have had an even better story. Um or
Or
a very terrible one. But still, like, hey, I pet a bear. Like, who can claim that? And so, um, a wild bear at that. The
wow.
other story was we were hanging out, we were just looking at the stars one night, and this deer comes booking it, like probably, I don't know, I want to say 50 feet away, and it
Yeah.
ran out of the bush like no one's business. And I was like, "Oh, that's weird." And again, my wife's from Ontario, so,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
so she doesn't really know deer and bear, and so at least from Southern Ontario.
Yeah.
And, so then all of a sudden, there's this black bear
I was gonna
charging out of the
ask.
bush, and I
Yep.
was like, "Oh, no. We need to get
Oh,
out of
yeah.
here."
Oh,
And she's
yeah.
like, and it was in the middle of the summer when there's no students around, so they can't get their fill of the garbage, right? So I'm like,
Yep.
if that bear's chasing that deer,
It
it's
means
not
it's
safe to
hungry.
be, yeah,
Yeah, that
it's not safe to
yeah.
be it's outside, so we need to go.
Yeah.
And so we very, very quickly and loudly went back to the, back to the dorm. That was kind of intense, that experience, but Okay, so I think I'm seeing my pattern here that I'm gonna try to establish, and and then I'm just gonna go for it and draw it out even
Do
further.
you have I don't know what the terms would be, a costume that is going to go on this, like a jean jacket with like
Oh no,
Motley
he's gonna be
Crue
naked.
buttons or
He's
oh, okay, right on. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. So if you look up Weldon the IT guy, you'll
Uh-huh.
see basically you're gonna get the idea. He's gonna look
Okay.
very um I don't want to say similar, but very much in the same vein.
Okay.
So if you look up Caven, actually, that's the actual thing that he does is Caven. And so, all right, here we go.
Caven
This
the Puppet. Looking at
Caven. Just look up Caven Cave dash in Steve Whitmire.
oh, roger that. There it is. I've seen that guy before. Yeah, okay. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Gotcha. Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, I know
So
that.
and
Yeah.
and so Floral was actually on his New Year's special.
Wow.
I sent a message in with Floral, just asking him what his favorite movies was, and he said Trolls 2. Look it up. So I did, and because the question I said was, "What's your favorite your sorry the best worst movie and the worst best movie?" And he's like, "For both, Trolls 2. It has a 2% score on Rotten Tomatoes." Like it is. I'm like, when you look at this thing, you're like, "Oh man, this has got to be garbage," and I really want to
Wow.
watch it. And I think actually it's from the '80s, if I remember
Yeah,
that
I
correct.
remember the original Trolls. My baby brother used to like
Oh,
that.
okay, so there you go.
Well, the encouraging thing about Trolls 2 is it's still lower rated somehow than the recent Marvel's Eternals movie, but give it some time, Trolls 2 may still win out the day.
Trolls 2 from 1990,
Ah, right on.
not the not the Blue Smurfs, right? You know what I'm talking.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Do you know what I'm like? This
I
is like it's like Goonies level makeup.
That's what I thought. That's what I remember
Oh,
because
okay. So that's what you're picturing. Okay,
yeah, no, I have a much younger baby brother, so Trolls.
okay.
Yeah, no one was more surprised than my parents. Oh, I know this one. Yeah, I've seen this one. Absolutely. Yep.
And Viking, I definitely miss Steve Whitmire's Kermit as well. All right, what do we got here? I should probably look in here. Um, Astro, I agree with college basketball is my sorry, college basketball is my
Oh,
deal.
we got
I'm
a Tar Heels fan here.
a big UNC fan.
Hmm. Yeah.
Uh, I recently got an NHL. NHL's just I hate the
It's
Leafs.
changed. It's
I
changed.
hate the
It's changed
Leafs.
a lot. Yeah. It's I used to love it about I used to love watching it when you could go out to a bar about 10 years ago. And I used to love watching the NBA throughout the 90s. I really did. And then it just all changed. It was after Carl, the mailman Malone left and Jordan retired. I just couldn't get into it anymore and just went heavy into college. Give me 1 second. I gotta go get my bourbon. I'll be back in 18 seconds.
Yeah, no, that's not a problem. I'm not gonna be making a Jack Murphy puppet, just so you know. I'm not gonna do that. Now that might be the biggest troll, but I am not making a. Whoop, sorry, I want the camera on a boom stand, but then I gotta buy another boom stand that'll go with the camera. Where did I put that needle? Needle here. What about a hypothetical whale? Well, it's been 18
Oh yeah.
seconds.
Oh yeah, I'm
So,
back.
okay,
Dude, I'm
so
already my
you were
butt's
on it.
already in the seat, dude. I time things out, man. I tell you that. No, so that goes back to my metaphorical and this is a hypothetical reality.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Gosh,
but yeah, I can vamp for you if you need me
no,
to.
it
But
just took 2 seconds. I just had to unplug it.
oh yeah.
Okay, so we got where did my mouse go? I put it all the way over here. Hypothetical whale. Would you touch a hypothetical whale? And
I
what
think
would
that
that constitute?
I think the real question is would the hypothetical whale touch you, my friend? Let's be really honest about it.
All right. Jack Murphy puppet with No, I'm not doing that. No.
I would actually pay for that. I actually would pay for that.
Yeah,
I'm not a
I would
I'm not
make
a
that.
I'm not a rich I'm not a rich man, but I would pay you for your time to make it. Here's why. I would pay for that and then send it to the quartering as a present. And you can't tell me
With
that
love.
with
That would be on his
love.
shelf immediately behind him.
That's what I'm saying. I think that people would lose their damn minds over that, and I think it would be absolutely hysterical. I don't. What
But
is
the best
Jack?
part is, like, you literally would just have to send like a stand that's homemade, just like this. Like it wouldn't
That means you have to make it anatomically correct. Oh, we won't
Not
go there,
really. I
but
mean, that's
you know what I mean. So, yeah, that's
pretty
true.
easy,
That's
man.
true.
Pretty easy.
That's true. Yeah, true. I don't know about elementary orifices and puppet making, but absolutely. Yeah.
No, but Fluffy says Floral's cute. Thanks, Fluffy. I love you too, from the heart of my bottom.
It's so crazy because like I didn't know who Jack Murphy was.
Oh,
Do
I
you
know.
know
I have no
how
idea.
I like
I
so I
really
was
still don't know. I mean,
I,
I
I,
follow the
I
conversations, but I'm like, I have no idea who this guy is.
there's like these complex layered relationships, you know, it's like archaeology and like I don't run in those circles. I do my thing and watch who I watch. And
Yeah.
I'm driving back to Texas after New Year's and all of a sudden I'm hearing about Jack Murphy and I'm like, that sounds like a 1940s detective, you know, on a radio show. I'm like, Jack, what the hell? But the more layers and things that have come out, it's like, wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
well, and it just shows you though, like and actually, I was listening to Viva Frey. I don't know if you listen to him at all,
Mhm.
but him and Robert Barnes were talking, and Robert was saying how basically, like, everyone has their stuff, and
Oh
obviously,
yeah.
this is his, and
Mhm.
so like you can judge him all you want, and that's your own prerogative, but like, what would happen if someone found your dirty deeds, right? Like, what would
Mhm.
like, and how would you respond to that? And so when you see how Jack responds on Timcast,
Mhm. Yeah.
it's fair, right?
Yeah. At the same point, and I don't wish ill on many people, I don't, but if you are charging people a lot of money a month to sell them a persona and in my opinion take advantage of you know in a predatory way something that you're not actually living that what do they call it, the giga chad lifestyle,
Yeah,
then I think by virtue of pretending to be something you're not and in my opinion potentially exploiting people for a lot of money, that I think that you are in for that, you know, I mean whatever people do in the privacy of their own home among consenting adults, you know, go crazy
yeah.
with it. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like I don't have a horse in this race. It's just it's to me, it's kind of
There's more humor in it than there is anything, I
no,
think.
it's equal parts horrifying and
Well, yeah,
hysterical. There's really
yeah,
no other way to put it. I mean, in chat, if you guys think that that's unfair, let me know. But it's just I'm like, do people like this exist? Like they're on the internet pretending to be something they're not to get monthly subscription fees for people, and then they're because that's not enough. They're making those types of videos. It's kind of crazy to me.
see, apparently though, like his videos actually, like his $100 a month, like, this is how you be a man thing. Again, listening to Robert Barnes was saying, like, it's not what it's being presented as. Like, if you actually go
Okay.
and look at it, like, it's kind of like a let's do this together thing, and he didn't really profit from it. Now, I mean, I think maybe that might have been his goal, but and I think to an extent, having been quite exposed to the Christian world, Christians get a
Mhm.
really bad rap for having ideals and not meeting those ideals. Um, and then they're like held to a higher standard, which I think is fair. Like, don't get me wrong,
Mhm.
like, I do think
Mhm.
it's fair,
Mhm.
but to conflate the two and say just because you have a high standard and you can't meet your own personal standard, I don't think that's fair. Do you know what I mean?
I do. I grew up in a very, very conservative Christian family, and I rebelled against that at a young age and got that out of my system. And now I'm kind of in a place of, live and let live. And I think faith is a beautiful thing for people as long as they don't think other people who don't think the way that they do need to be deleted. Let's just say that. So, but it's in this case. Did you like what I did there? In
Yeah.
this case, like I don't know enough about this cat to have an educated opinion. I mean, I my concern has been for a long time, and I'm not some right wing person. I'm not. I just think I'm someone who was born, a good ways back into the 20th century, and remember America and the world when communism was the
We call
scourge
those
that we
guys
all
boomers,
fought
you know that,
against.
right?
I do. I do. I'm a Gen Xer though, man. Like I'll tell my story. All of you out there who are not Gen X, you don't know what it was like being 20 years old and putting up with your grandparents, the baby boomers. They were they sucked to work with. They put us down. They gave us every shit job. They were narcissism embodied, and I got to hear about how Crosby, Stills, and Nash and marijuana, and like every hippie stereotype story combined with disco. Imagine listening to that. Working your dead end job out of college, thinking you're going to change the world, and instead you're making like $6 an hour. Endlessly. But where was I going with that?
I have no
Jack,
idea.
dude, I'm kind of fractal, but no, Jack Murphy. The whole thing with that is I think you get on the internet, you open up yourself to criticism. I know I'm nobody. I try to do good work, but I was shocked at the amount of horrifying things people were saying to me because I didn't like their woke TV show. Like,
Oh yeah.
you hear about these big channels like, Gary and Heel versus Babyface and everybody in the Fellowship, and it's like, yeah, well, and then it's like, dude, I'm nobody. I got like 1,200 subscribers, like I'm coming up on 13, and some of the things like these people write me 8-paragraph dissertations talking about how I'm a misogynist and I need to reevaluate this, and they're dropping all this critical theory stuff, and I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
But where I'm going with the Jack Murphy thing is that it's very different to, like, do running commentary on TV shows, and then I think another thing to sell a lifestyle brand that
For
you
sure.
don't necessarily live up to. So.
No, and that's why I say, like, it's not a necessarily unwarranted criticism, but it's just one of those things that I'm like, it's something we should be aware of. Just because you have a
Mhm.
standard and you fail to meet that personal standard doesn't mean you're a bad person or whatever. It just means that you have a standard and you drop the ball, right?
Yeah.
So that's all I was thinking. Like, it's just, and I think that's probably one of the most fair things is just realizing that people are humans and we
Yeah.
all screw up. And
Yeah.
because even people that are like, I'll never murder, they've murdered some of them, right? Like, it's like, how did you said you'd never do it and then you killed somebody.
Yeah.
So
Boy,
I don't know.
there's a lot of things I'd say on my own channel, but I'm not going to say them on yours. So
Possibly for the better. I mean,
possibly for the better. So what are you doing right now? Are you sewing on the skin?
neck.
Boy, that sounds a little too
Sewing on
Silence of the
skin.
Lambs. Yeah.
Jeepers Creepers. That was. Did you ever see that one?
Jeepers Creepers,
Yeah.
the movie. Oh
Yeah.
my God. That movie was crazy.
That was the first horror movie that I ever watched, and I was like, "This is." I simultaneously, because it was the first horror movie I'd ever watched, so I was
Uh-huh.
simultaneously terrified, but at the same time, I was like, "This is so dumb."
Well, it was, but there were parts of it that were so off the hook, crazy, insane. Like with the boy, the brother, or whatever it is. It just because I don't do well with gore. Like I don't like
Okay, yeah,
you give me a slow burn Hitchcock movie, I'll watch it all day long.
yeah,
But to, like, people being disemboweled and hung on meat hooks, I'm not into that type of thing.
it's not your game.
No.
So then, how do you deal with aliens and stuff like that?
Oh, that's
'Cause
different.
that's
Aliens.
because it's
Aliens.
sci-fi. So if the moment it gets into sci-fi, then you're like, it's a different game.
Yeah, I think the thing is that when you're dealing with a lot of the slasher movies, there seems to be a lot of deliberate, dark, evil human intent that I personally
Gotcha.
like. That I react to that much differently than say a xenomorph jumping out on the colonial marines, because I can put myself in the position of being a colonial marine and waxing every freaking xenomorph that I can see and getting out alive.
Yeah.
um but when it comes to the like gratuitous, someone's chopping their own something off and like someone's enjoying that, dude, I got no time for that.
Yeah. No,
But
I hear you there.
what about you? We had talked about, because of that 80s movies thing.
Mhm.
Are there movies, so Jeepers Creepers, but what movies do you do like? And I guess I'm going to be selfish and say, like, is there a
Yeah.
fantasy or science fiction? Like, what's your thing? What do you like
My
to
jam,
watch?
it tends to be like the superhero, Marvel, that kind of area. Um, but I do like my war movies. No, I'm not like, again, I like them.
Sure.
Um, I do like watching like History Buffs,
Hmm.
that YouTube channel where he kind of goes through, and I mean he gets flack because apparently he cherry picks his history that he's quoting from, but I mean,
Mm.
who isn't these days? Um, but I mean, it's if it's a good movie, if it has sex in it, I won't watch it. Um,
Oh,
I so like I've never watched Game of Thrones because basically it's just porn with a good story.
yeah,
Um, it's it literally is the Playboy with the articles, right? It's
yeah.
so I won't watch it. I'll avoid that stuff. Swearing doesn't bother me so much. It's the for me, if when you get into the explicit of sexuality, that's really the thing that gets me. And so, because I saw that Viking Warrior saying that it's hard to make too many homosexual themed stuff in shows where I can watch them because I don't want to make kids exposed to that, and that's kind of my big thing, is I don't want to expose my kids to that. So some people they say like, you live your best life. The courting says that all the time, and I'm like, okay, so your best life is now affecting my best life. So the whole idea of you live your life and bygones be bygones, like there's a big myth to that. Um, and because it's just not true. I mean, like like you can learn to disagree with each other, but to assume that your decisions don't affect me, that's actually just a sheer arrogance, um, and
we u-
ignorance.
well, we used to have this thing, we tolerated one another,
Yeah,
and polite
truly
so-
tolerated.
polite
Yes.
polite societies tolerate. And tolerate means I'm not going to pick this rock up and bash your brains in. That's tolerance. Is we don't have to like one another, we don't have to agree with one another, but we tolerate our differences.
Or
I
show
think that,
grace.
yeah, well, that's part of tolerance in my mind, is grace, patience, um, intolerance. There's a big difference, and I think it was South Park that had an episode that talked about that, where um, there's a huge difference, and they of course were over the top with what it was that everybody was accepting and suddenly doing. We can all tolerate each other and be civil and say hey, and hold the door open for one another, and we don't have to like one another, we just don't have to hit each other in the head with sticks.
Mhm.
And I think that what's so baffling to me with current woke culture, and especially the knee-jerk reactivity of if you go against whatever narrative it is, that you're immediately unpersoned, and you are
Mhm.
labeled and shamed with it's like a canned set of responses. You're an ist phobe, whatever. And I don't think those people ever understand that we may not like them at all,
Mhm.
we as individuals, and we may not like what they do or what they represent, but we give them their right to exist
Mhm.
and to not have their job taken away, to not be canceled. and,
Mhm.
and that's the really mystifying part to me of where things have gone in the last couple of years, is that just because somebody thinks differently and lives differently than you, and they may hold ideas that are not progressive enough or whatever it is,
Mhm.
that you get to shame them and dehumanize them, and that to me I find very troubling. I really do.
No, and for me, it's the hypocrisy and all of it, right? Because I mean, the people that get again lambasted the most are the Christians, and
Yeah.
again, and sometimes rightfully so. Like they're getting what they deserve because of the way they treated people, but that's not all of them. And so to blanket it, however, the things that
But
they claim these are
it's not just Christians either. I mean,
no.
it's any belief system if we're really honest about it, you know?
Oh,
The
absolutely, for sure,
zealots. Yeah.
for sure. And so it's but the same thing that they're saying, like, "Oh, the Christians did this, or whoever did this to me," like this faith system, this group of people. And so now I'm going to ostracize them. I'm going to attack them. I'm going to belittle them. I'm going to
Mhm.
make them become the lessers,
Mhm.
right? And that's an issue,
Mhm.
right? Because now because it is just sheer hypocrisy.
Well, not only that, but it's emotionally it's emotionally stunted because at the end of the day, let's say that you did grow up in a scenario in whatever faith it might be where you were shamed or whatever it was, and you need to take out your anger on that and vilify that.
Mhm,
At the end of the day, the only person creating a boogeyman is that individual. It's continuing to give power to an aggressor
mhm,
and not going, I'm taking the power back for myself, like as an individual. Like, I'm not going to like this, but I'm also not going to live my life in reaction to something, you
mhm,
know? And that's what I think, especially with it's so hard. Like, I sound like I'm so old, but it's like to see a lot of people in their 20s who seem to me so lost and so angry and so empty reacting to things as opposed to doing something that will allow themselves to define themselves, you know,
mhm,
continuing to react and to externally be aggressive and to, dare I use the word, hate. That's
mhm.
no way to go through life, man. You know, like
No way.
pick something you want to do and do it well and be a good person. You know, like if you do that, you're going to have a pretty good ride, you know, as
Yeah, no,
good
for
of a
sure.
ride as anybody's going to have. But, you know,
Yep.
so
No, I hear you there. So, all right. Let's see here. Am I winning? How well is this going to actually attach
dude, it looks great.
right now? I
Well,
need
yeah,
your
it's because
thoughts on Hulk
it's
Hogan and
headless.
Muppets in Space. I
Well,
actually forgot that Hulk Hogan's in that movie. Is he actually
oh
in
my
that movie?
god.
It's been so long since I've watched him. My daughters were watching it the other day, but I was busy doing stuff, so I didn't actually sit down and watch it with them. Even though I actually do love that movie, which is
I
kind of like
have not
mother faux pas.
seen that.
You
I
haven't seen
remember
Muppets in Space?
oh, well, no. So I've seen the original Muppet Show going back to the late 70s and early 80s, like when they did the pigs in space. Still absolutely genius, especially when Mark Hamill and R2D2 come
Yeah.
on there. But I've never seen the movie Muppets in Space. Is it worth checking out?
Um,
That's what I
it's
thought.
if you're if you just want to have like a good laugh, like there's some good funny moments in it, but basically it's they're trying to give you a backstory to Gonzo, right? That's the whole
Oh.
premise. And so read all the alien tropes you want into it, and that's
Mhm.
basically the movie. And so, like I said, it is funny, but and there's some really good moments, but
That looks
it's
good. That puppet looks good, man.
yeah. So I just gotta
How does it feel like in your hand? Like, do you know, is it sort of like, okay, you've got the turn radius and the flexibility or
yeah. You can. I mean, it's not attached yet, right? So I can't
oh,
fully
okay.
feel it,
Okay.
but yeah, he'll be talking like this. That's you can kind of see it. It's happening.
That's awesome.
So yeah. But the fun part is trying to do like the teeth and get that tongue in there and
Oh my god.
all that, right? Like because that's just L200 foam, so it's just the the leftover
Oh, I was
foam
gonna ask.
from the air
Okay.
conditioner. So I just chopped it up, made teeth, and
That's
I mean
so brilliant.
these are from a pumpkin. These are wooden doll, or sorry, just half wooden balls,
Uh-huh.
with the soft part of the Velcro, just normal fleece, Antron fleece, Yeah, that's it.
Dude, this is so cool.
So yeah, but see how this actually goes, because again, the big thing is I don't want to see a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for, wrinkles
Mm.
in the neck. I want that to be clean looking, as clean as
Okay.
I can. Um,
Is there a process? I mean, is there like, can you stretch wait, does the material that you're working with
it,
change how you put it on the structure?
yeah, so it stretches going left and right. You don't
Okay.
want it to be stretching up and down, and the reason for
Okay.
that is because when it's sitting on there, if it stretches up and down over time, what's going to happen is this is going to tug, and it's just going to stretch and stretch and
Uh,
stretch and stretch and become a
and
giraffe.
separate. Yeah.
And so you want it to go sideways. So that's basically the only thing that really matters in that part of the conversation. Um, but yeah, so but now it's how the heck am I going to get this in here? And so I think if this all goes well, forget this has all been like experimentation because I haven't built a puppet this way, right? So this is me
You
just,
could have fooled me, man. You were like knocking this stuff out.
well, all right. I'll go for it. I'll
Hey,
say sure.
no, I'm not just being a nice guest. I mean, I love seeing people's other hobbies, that things that like I have no idea how to do it, and then watch other people's passion for what they're doing. It's it's really inspiring, but it just makes me. It's so great to see other people enjoying something and being engaged and passionate about it.
No, fair enough. So does that mean that you like shows like Dirty Jobs?
I actually did watch quite a bit of that. You know what I was more into was oh God, I just
Undercover
totally
Boss?
blanked. No, River Monsters.
Oh yeah, Jeremy Wade.
Dude,
Yeah.
if I could win the
I'm never going to
lottery,
Africa.
dude. No, the Amazon. Are you kidding me? The stuff that's in that river, dude.
Oh
No
no,
way. No.
that river in the Congo with that
Oh,
fish with the what they called it, the ball grabber.
oh, dude. Yeah. Oh,
See
that.
that
No.
thing?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
no. And like when he
Oh.
came up to Canada and he was looking for a sturgeon, I was like,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
like that. But the fact that he caught a sturgeon on like a, what is it, 300-pound sturgeon on a 20-pound test line or whatever,
I
like
was I
that
was
was impressive.
skeptical of that. I've seen some pretty darn big sturgeon though up in the Great Lakes. I have.
Oh yeah, for
And
sure.
I swear to God, I was out on a dock and I just was, dicking around, having a beer, threw a line in the water, with the worm and everything.
Mhm.
And suddenly there was this swoosh, and it was, I saw this white sturgeon and it must have been 5, 6 feet long, moving. And I've never seen a sturgeon like come to the surface like that and then
Yeah.
just swim for a while and then go back down. And it was like, I am pretty sure a 20-pound test would not even hold a 5-pound sturgeon. So I don't know what they were doing in the background to make that happen. But
This is gonna. I need to get this in here, and because I glued it in like an, not like an idiot, but because I glued it in, this is gonna be difficult. All right,
all right, I'll vamp for a little while. So
there we go. I
we
know
were
we're good.
oh, perfect. So well, we were talking about movies. So I know what movies
Yeah.
you don't like and why, but so are there some you like the Marvel movies? Now,
Mm.
is the reason that you like the Marvel movies, did you read comic books or did they just
Um,
speak to you?
as a kid, I always loved that stuff. So, Power Rangers, Turtles, that was my era, right? So it was, and I grew up in a single family home. So those were my
Uh-huh.
father figures. Those were
Mm,
the people
mm.
I looked up to for my morals, for my guidance, and all that. Um,
100%. Yep.
and
Yep.
so it was an affection thing. So I always loved Superman. So Superman was always my number one favorite. It's actually changed to being Captain America.
Right on.
Um, but again, it's those guys that are super resolved, and it's like
Hmm.
I'm going to do the right thing,
Yep.
no matter what's the cost.
Yep.
Right. So Optimus Prime,
Hmm.
it's like he was always up there. And so like in college, like I worked on my Optimus Prime voice, which I was telling another guy in another stream, Matt. that's where the voice of Floral actually kind of came from.
Right on.
I need my thimble because I'd sit there in my car for 30 minutes driving to college every day, back and forth, and I'd just be like, Autobots transform and roll
Okay,
out.
that's really good.
And
Dude,
so
that is
I would
really
just, but I practiced that every day,
good.
and I looked up how Peter Cullen does the voice, and so I was like sitting there and just like, Autobots transform and roll out, and I would just practice, and I learned that it's in the morning. That's when that's when it's the best because my throat's so loose. But then like, yeah, like, so it's those kinds of things. I was in high school when Lord of the Rings came out, so I loved Lord of the Rings. Me and a bunch of friends, we all watched it for the extended editions, and then we went to the theater and watched Return of the King. And my seat was very front row, which sucked because of all those fight scenes.
Oh yeah.
So I was like trying to track what was going on, but I just had a headache because I'm like, what is going on? And then because I couldn't track most of the fights and I had no idea what was actually going on, by the time we got to the end of the movie, I was so just done with it. But after I watched Two Towers with a buddy in the theater, there was these two good-looking girls that he was eyeing up, and I just wanted to screw with them. So I just started talking like Smeagol, and I just realized I could do it. And I was like, Christopher's, what are you doing, precious?
Okay, that's good. That's a good Smeagol, dude. That's a good Smeagol.
Barking a lot. And I was just like, Christopher's, no, Christopher's, you leave us alone, precious. And so he just hated that. So anyway, I just loved all those kinds of things, and just really internalizing them. And that's why superheroes really connected with me, just because the morality of it, right? Like, we are going to fight for these people no matter what it takes. We're going to do the right thing. And that's why Endgame is simultaneously my favorite movie to exist on planet Earth, but it is also the movie that I hate the most that exists on planet Earth, because Endgame.
Tell me why.
Endgame was an amazing movie. I cried, I laughed. I was very satisfied with the outcome. But if Endgame doesn't happen, current year Marvel isn't happening. So,
but there were so many other directions they could have went with, and the story that I wanted really, and it would have never happened, was what actually happened with Steve Rogers when he went into the quantum realm. I think in it's my head canon, I think, but I think a lot more happened than just him going back and getting with Agent Carter. Peggy.
Well, I think even like the Russos made mention of that,
and I think there was so much, because if he had to go back through all those timelines, and especially going back to
Red Skull,
but also when the Hulk went and then met the
Sorcerer Supreme.
Yes, but before Doctor Strange, and I always imagined that something had happened in her timeline that he needed to be part of, and I just kept thinking, my God, they could have, instead of, this isn't, I don't know what, well, I do know what they're doing. It's just horrifying to watch, but they could have done so much if we wouldn't have been living in this dark timeline of deconstruction of everything that is part of Western civilization, from our morality to our stories to every single thing. What you could have done with Steve Rogers, Chris Evans in that timeline would have been incredible.
No, it's true. It's true. And because he played the character really well, which tells you he's actually an amazing actor, because in real life, he's a real jerk. Like,
he's a douche canoe, dude. He is.
That's what I was going to say, but I don't. Again,
sorry.
No, it's just personal conviction. So, but he, But Viking Warrior, Iron Man, or killing off Iron Man was a bad idea. I disagree. I think killing him off was a good idea. I think how it was necessarily executed was not as good, because that was the one way. Like,
Mhm.
Didn't make sense. Like, I mean, that was very contrived. But they wanted to put out Ironheart and America Chavez characters that came self. Oh yeah, no, but and I understand why they, again, similar why they did it, but I think it's like Iron Man needed to die. He started it off. He did need to be the one to lay his life down. That was like that completed his arc so well. Even if it was like they killed off all of the guys, it could have worked really, really well. But they
Mhm.
just went for
Mhm.
the easy win, and
Well, the problem
yeah,
is, and much more well-equipped comic aficionados than myself can speak to it so much better, but it is undeniable that the characters and stories that they are introducing were not received well by any measure. Ironheart, America Chavez.
yeah,
Are you kidding me? I did a video, God, it was about 2 weeks ago, where I read Marvel had just read the description of what America Chavez is going to be, her character arc loosely in the Doctor Strange movie, and the first thing they say is this is an LGBTQ plus
no,
Latin, Latin X 14-year-old girl. And I'm like, first of all, America Chavez is an alien, like from outer space, you know? And it's like, it's become so discouragingly predictable that it's just literally the checklist of this, female, this gender, this sexuality, this political affiliation. And it's like, wait a minute, time out. I want to see good comic book characters
yeah,
from good stories do comic book character things. And just like you said, have a moral clarity and stand for something that makes me root for them.
yeah,
And when they lose or their sacrifice, that we want them to be successful, as opposed to, oh my God, it's the bestest woman ever. The only reason she isn't as great as she could be is because all of these dumb or stupid evil men are in the way. And it's just like, how many times are we going
yeah.
to do this? You know?
Well, I mean, it is true. Like, I mean, they are dumb and stupid evil men, but
Well, there are a lot
I
of them,
joke.
but there's also, I know, but there's also like, there are so many great, strong male characters out there that
No,
don't
there
take
are
away from a woman.
no,
And what I'm seeing, in my opinion, is a lot
especially when
of
they waste the women that they do have, like the way they treated Black Widow. Now, to be fair,
agreed.
I've only I've watched probably like 20 different reviews of Black Widow, so I know
Mhm,
what happens in the movie, and it's
mhm.
just I have not been convinced to watch that movie because they wasted everything about her. They wasted the opportunity with Clint,
Yeah.
right? Like there's
Budapest.
yeah,
We're never
they
going to get
ruined the
Budapest.
whole thing.
Yep.
It's like there's this whole story that could have been told and carried on um, the through lines from before, but no, they wanted to create all new ones
Hmm.
that suck. Like,
Well, yeah, and undeniably now, not just qualitatively, where they can say, well, like, oh, you're just misogynist, fanboys who are afraid of strong women. That's not true. We've always loved Wonder Woman. We've always loved
yeah.
She-Hulk from the original comic book series. I mean, you can name it.
Although I wasn't a
It's
fan of the original Wonder Woman because it was just Captain America.
well, yeah. I mean, like I go back to the '70s. Like my
Well, there's
grandfather
that. I
used.
mean, I just mean the movie, right? Like
Oh,
the
oh yeah. No, I mean it's I go back to the Wonder Woman comic books from like my childhood in the 70s and 80s and some of those storylines. But I thought the movie was okay. It was okay. Chris Pike, I still can't get over the fact that somebody thinks that he's James T. Kirk, but uh,
here's the thing. He could have done it well. I think that he could have been James T. Kirk under proper
the
direction
right director. Yeah.
and the right story.
Yep.
Because I think he actually nails the character pretty well. I actually really like him as Kirk. I actually really do enjoy those movies stand alone, understanding they're not what came before.
Mhm.
Um, because I mean, I grew up watching with my dad. We would watch Voyager. I never really got into the next gen,
Oh, okay.
um, and so I was more of a Voyager kid. So again, strong female lead, right?
Oh yeah, Captain Janeway,
Yeah,
100%. Yeah.
exactly. And so never had a problem with her. she fit the bill, like the way her voice is, like she kind of has that male voice, right? So when you see her talk, you're like, okay, I
Yeah.
can buy her as a character.
Yeah.
Um, she doesn't try to be a man, um, but
Bingo.
she's a woman, and she's does her job, and she has to make these tough calls, and um, yeah, I don't remember where I was going with that, but I mean, to say like there are a lot of strong female characters that they're amazing, and why aren't we just seeing those ones? Why do we have to dig through this trove of trash?
I just was going to the chat and hailed a parrot head who says that Linda Carter was a great Wonder Woman. Hail to you, and I absolutely agree. I am, of course, old, and I remember watching Wonder Woman on TV in I think it was the mid to late 70s. And Linda Carter, wow, I'll just say that. And yeah, that was a
I
very
don't see it, but
luscious hit.
your
Dude,
Jen, they do.
yeah,
I
dude,
get it. I get it. I know that there's. I mean, for me, it's when I remember looking back and watching some of those episodes with my grandpa, and him being like, "Look at her," and me being like, "What about her? Like, look at what she's wearing." And so I'm sure she would have been probably more my taste if current year kind of a thing. But
yeah.
oh, come on, there we
I, I think a lot of it was it was crazy because about the same time that they put Wonder Woman out, they also put the Incredible Hulk out on
Yeah,
TV. Did you watch
Lou
that? What did you
Ferrigno.
think about
I
dude?
watched a whole bunch of Lou Ferrigno episodes. I don't remember any of them, other
Okay.
than I remember the fight under the pier. That's always the one that
Mm,
goes through my mind, where he's fighting on the beach with the guy,
mhm.
and he hulks out, and that's just where my mind always goes. I just remember that episode. Um,
It's
but
fascinating. I think someone needs to do a poll as to who do they think was the better, and include a bunch of different people of different ages. Who was the who was better, Bill Bixby or oh god, I just blanked on his damn name. The Hulk guy who plays Hulk, soy boy leftist.
Eric Bana
No, no,
or
no,
Mark
not
Ruffalo?
that's the one, Mark Ruffalo. Like Bill Bixby or Mark Ruffalo, who has the lasting Hulk legacy? You know?
Oh, Bill Bixby was not Lou Ferrigno. He was the other Hulk, or he was Bruce Banner.
Yeah, he was Bruce Banner. Lou Ferrigno played the Hulk, and then
Yeah,
of course, now we have the CG for the movies with Ruffalo. But
yeah,
I tried to watch the what was it, Eric Bana? Is that his name? In the
yep,
Hulk movies, and
yep.
then what was the other guy? Was it Norton? Wasn't he in a
Edward
Hulk movie
Norton.
too?
Yeah,
Yeah, and it's like I could not get into those movies, and I don't know
I
what it
liked
is
him.
I just it didn't work for me. I mean, and I don't know.
There was some awesome scenes, especially in the Eric Bana one. Mark Ruffalo is a piece of poo. True. He totally is. Um, the scene where Hulk just goes nuts after breaking out of the military base and
Oh yeah.
is fighting those tanks.
Okay.
Like that scene is epic. When he
I'll
grabs
have
the
to
tank and he
watch
starts
it.
just that scene even it's a true Hulk scene, and when he's fighting those dogs, like because he keeps so the thing is about Eric Bana's Hulk is he's actually Hulk. He gets bigger and bigger and bigger the more mad he gets, and so you could actually have World War Hulk with that
Oh
storyline with Eric Bana's Hulk, but you can't have him with Mark Ruffalo's because
no.
he's just 9 feet and he never grows.
I'm
So
gonna have to go back and watch because I think I saw those once. I like got the DVD off Redbox back when they used to send you physical DVDs or whatever,
mhm.
and I was like, I don't know, and then I stopped watching. But I'll have to check it out. I will take that as a recommendation.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's long and it's slow,
I do
and it's
remember the slow part. So
yeah,
yeah.
but it's because they're actually telling a story, and that's the thing. Like everyone went into that movie wanting just Hulk beating the crap out of things, and you got that. But they also told the story of
Mhm,
Bruce Banner, right? So
mhm.
there was like broken expectations because it's called the Incredible Hulk, right? Or sorry, Hulk, and you're just
Mhm.
like, it's like, okay, I want to see Hulk, but there's a whole lot of Eric Bana.
Yeah, I mean, and there's also the compelling backstory of the Hulk. I mean, I remember one Christmas I got this. It was an ex libris, so an ex library copy of. God, it was this like inch and a half thick hardcover book of the like some of the original Hulk comics, and like I read them. I read that thing cover to cover, and
Mhm.
of course the origin story and all of that, and it's like I would love if somebody would take that Kirby-like art, like they should have done with the Eternals, and make a very stylized, very comic book perfect version of one set of characters, just
Yeah.
just to see how audiences would respond. Because very clearly, what they've done with the Eternals didn't work, and I just give us Jack Kirby one time, one time. That's all I want, you know.
Yep. See, and I never watched the Eternals. Like I haven't watched Shang-Chi. And I was willing to if my wife wanted to, but she was just like, because then she heard me complain about it so much about what everyone else was saying. So she was just not into it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I'm willing to watch these things and I want them to be good.
Well, I want them to be good too, but
And
they're just intersectional neo-Marxist identity politics checklists. You know, they really
yeah,
are.
I think the what? The Pimp had a Tiger in his Cadillac. Oh, okay, sorry. The episodes
No,
of the show.
yeah, it was like from the '70s, and
I'm like,
it was not a correct, politically correct time. We'll just say that. So yeah,
no, it's definitely not. And God bless the '70s for not being politically correct.
yeah, yeah.
Because if could you imagine what Star Wars would have been like if it was politically correct?
I remember. Oh God, going to see Star Wars because that's what we called it. It was just Star Wars. It wasn't A New
Yeah,
Hope in 19. When I was a 7-year-old, 8-year-old kid when that thing came out, and the line was around the 2 blocks in a small town in the middle of nowhere.
that's cool.
And I we got in, we had to go to the upper balcony and the back of the balcony, couldn't see anything in the dark. And I remember going up the stairs, hearing the battle of the Star Destroyer going after the skiff that Princess Leia was in, and for the until that movie got released on video many years later on VHS,
Mhm.
I never saw the first opening moments of Star Wars. And because I was this little kid trying not
Yeah,
to fall off a balcony when I'm 7, trying to find somewhere to sit. And it's nothing. I don't know if any cinematic experience is possible to replicate what it felt like to see what George Lucas did. It's been 40 years since I saw Star Wars in the theater, and as soon as they re-released everything in the 90s, I must have saw Star Wars 4 or 5 times after work and just saw that Empire Return in the big screen. And if they
mhm.
release those movies now, just the original, non-Lucas adding rocks and all that other crap that he did, but
Yeah.
just the original theatrical print cleaned up, they would probably make another $1 billion off, or $2 billion off of those releases, just for a whole
I wouldn't say that
generation.
much, but they would easily probably do 200 to 300 bucks or
I,
two to 300 million.
I think a lot of people would just love to go back to the theater to see movies that don't have an agenda, but I think people would love that.
I think you would have a bunch of people that would. I don't
Mhm.
think that I don't think you would get a million or $1 billion. I don't think.
Maybe, maybe
I think
not. You're probably right.
best case scenario, you're getting probably maybe 5. But
Yeah,
I can only see it being like a $200 to $300, or but like Disney's
I
stupid
see what
because
you're saying.
they're not doing it right, like because that is easy money. Like just release the original theatrical cuts in the theater
Yeah, yeah,
and call her a day, and
yeah,
you win. Like,
yeah. It's so funny because I mean, Ray Skywalker, like what? And I actually saw a rumor, and I don't know if it's true, but that Daisy Ridley, who of course played Ray Skywalker, was going to be brought into the Marvel Cinematic Universe because you know what? Marvel Phase 4 needs yet another strong independent women, you know?
Yeah,
I
to go
just
with the rest of them.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I hear you there. I heard something about that too. But who did you hear she was playing? Because I just heard about her being in it.
So what I read, and I actually sourced it from one source I trust for sure, and then two other sources, which were people who were like scoopers on Twitter, which, flip a coin,
Yeah.
maybe they'll be right. But that what it was is that she was going to have her choice of a female lead character in a future movie, and the reason why, and the reason why was because Disney trusted her because she was a proven box office commodity in Star Wars.
Wow, they took the wrong lesson from that.
Yeah. But I mean, this is what happens when you're letting bankers with ESG scores drive your creative
Yeah.
decisions. I mean, like the creative is secondary. Again, it's all baffling to me.
No, it's true. It's true. Oh man. So here's the big mistake that I did that I'm learning to never do again.
Did I distract you? You can blame me. It's
Oh
okay.
no, this is what I did the other day.
Okay.
It's the amount of hot glue that's in here, so it's making it a pain
Oh.
to try and sew through. So that's why I keep breaking thread.
When you use hot glue, do you use sort of, I'm not judging, but do you use the sort of the whatever is available, the cheap stuff, or do you use Gorilla Glue or a special kind of glue on fabric?
This is just from dollar store.
Okay. Yeah, because I actually used some hot glue or bought some hot glue sticks for my better half, who she likes to do some crafting stuff now and again. And
No,
I got some.
dude, I saw someone's glue gun, and you're like, dude, that's amazing.
It looks like it
That's
should have been. It should have been in the cantina scene on Mos Eisley. On
yeah,
somebody's hip.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And I'm like, well, that's a glue gun? Like that cannot count.
Greedo tried to shoot Han Solo with it. It's not a glue gun, seriously, but
Yeah, no,
yeah.
exactly.
But I got some of that hot Gorilla Glue because I thought I was going to be cute and like fix a broken picture frame. Holy cow, big mistake, man. Does not react well with drywall. So I can't imagine what it's doing with your fabric.
Well, it's just because when I'm doing it, I'm just putting it on the back of this back here and then on the foam, right? So then it's just holding it there.
Right.
But when you got glued right against fabric, it's you're going through cement basically. It's
Are you using fishing line? Are you using regular
no.
size needles, or is it thread?
Using a bit of a thicker needle because then I can get a bit of a better grip on it, but then just normal sewing thread. So if I was just going through just fabric right now, this is I probably would have been done this part. That's why the neck went so easy, because I didn't put as much hot glue in. This is just turning into a chore. So like when I sew in the fur, that's going to go on really easy.
Yeah.
Because there's no glue any of these spots here. There's some just like to tack, but it's only like a spot, just so I didn't have to have pins sitting in it all the whole time. And I only have pins in it and have it tacked down, because if I didn't, then this would just be slipping forward and it would lose some of its shape.
Have you tried? And the only reason I ask this is because of the like rough construction stuff that I've done in building other things for fun. Have you tried pre-drilling, with a very small drill bit to create yourself a place for your needle to go, or does that thread have to bite into the styrofoam to keep the fabric?
The thread's only going into the fabric. I did pre-drill for the mouth plate, right? So I don't know if you can kind of see that there.
Oh, totally, dude. Yeah.
So this is actually just off of like one of those plastic shelves that you just have like in your garage, but it just created a nice thumb grip. So I just kind of
totally.
I was just like, I'll throw some foam in there and I'll see how that goes. And I was like, this is a win. And then I just put a piece of elastic on it just in case the contact cement gives out. And then I just sewed in over top of it. Keep it simple. The top plate on the top here is, what do you call it? This stuff here. You use it in like on cars in between pieces of metal, right?
Oh, sure. Spacer. Yep.
Yeah, right. So it's just that's the top plate, because I figured if maybe over time I'll be able to get like a bend out of the mouth, so that when he's talking, I could kind of get him to do like the Kermit look, but that's never going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Underbite, overbite. Oh, because of the teeth. Yeah.
Well, no, it's because it's just the rigidity of it. It's just
Ah,
it's just actually way
gotcha.
stronger. So if I was doing it in Kermit, I could bend it pretty easy. But just the way that this is designed, it's sturdy. So it's never going to bend that way. At least not for another 20 years. Um, but
Look at that.
yeah.
That thing's amazing, man.
Yeah, no, I'm actually really pleased with how the neck is actually turning out. Like once I get it sewed on, so I'm thinking probably while the family is just doing stuff tomorrow, I'll sew on the neck because how much work that's going to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so like once I get it tucked in,
Oh, I can't wait to see
I'm
the
really
finished
excited to see how he
product.
turns out. He's going to be pretty classy.
I
So
just the eyes. I love the eyes. The persona that you've given it. It's. I mean, if you sucked, I would tell you. Believe me, I'm only a moderately nice person. I like the work that you're doing in this guy. I can see where you're going, and I can see this guy being a total troll. I really can, and talking some serious smack. It's going to be awesome.
thank you. So kind, so kind. But
It's so great, dude.
it was a panther,
I'm
not a tiger in the trunk. Yeah. Anyway, you're saying.
oh, I was just gonna say, hold on one second. Let me get it. Go on mute.
All right.
Sorry about that. I've
No
been
problem.
recording my own videos, so I'm losing my voice today, and I may end up bowing out if that's okay with you, and just
No, it's
chilling
been
out for
two
a
hours,
while.
so I'm thinking that because it's 11 o'clock and my wife's probably. Let's see. I'll check. I got a text. What is it saying? She's probably saying, "Coming to bed soon." Oh, he just woke up. It's an hour and 10 minutes ago though, so
So you're in trouble.
I don't know. I don't know. I'll see. No, just that one message.
All right.
Anything on Messenger? No, I'm good. So I'm not in trouble. So I mean, she's actually
Ah,
asleep or he's asleep or something. But
good,
anyway,
good.
so I think I'll leave this guy for the rest of the night, and we'll call her a quits here. Thanks everyone for coming on and giving us your 2 cents too. So I'll probably jump on again tomorrow night if you're interested. And again, I just throw out the invites to whoever because I don't mind having a conversation so long as you keep it PG-13 kind of a thing. I'm good with it. Because if it's you want to come on and disagree with me on anything that I've said tonight or any other day, I don't mind because the whole thing is we want to grow as individuals and learn. So, but yeah, no. So Salty, I'm super glad that you came on. We got to get to know each other a bit better.
This is a lot of fun. Thank you so much for just having blind faith and having me on. And I have loved watching you build this puppet and also our conversation. So thank you.
No, thank you, and look forward to having more conversations in the future. So,
Yes, sir.
right on. Well, kids, you have
Brilliant.
a great night. Stay out of trouble. Don't join gangs unless they have a cool name. And yeah, I'm going to end the
Peace.
broadcast right now.
Cheers.